Hello, I'm Rachel and this is WoTtober Book Club. In a bit of a departure from a more traditional content, today I'm sat here with a guitar, and that is because, well, it's no secret that I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan, and in October there's a Wheel of Time fandom event called WoTtober. This is where there's 31 prompts throughout the month, one for each day, and Wheel of Time fans can create content based on that prompt. Now traditionally it's drawing, but you don't have to just draw, and I can't draw, so I have written some songs in the past, and I've only shared a couple of them last year, but I have written others. Anyway, today I'm sharing one of them from this year with you. So the prompt for the 4th of October was Silverpike. I know it's the 11th of October today, but I was a little bit ill. I'm still a little bit ill, so I haven't put it out in the world, but I have to put it out in the world today. So I read the word Silverpike and I immediately thought of Swan Sanche. Now, Swan is a character in the Wheel of Time who makes a lot of fish metaphors because she's the daughter of a fisherman from a country called Tyr. And she's great, she's really funny, and like it's a big characteristic of her that she makes a lot of references to fishing and allusions to fishing. And a Silverpike is kind of like the Wheel of Time version of a shark. So I looked at the word Silverpike and I thought, well, what if it was a term of endearment? So I wrote a few lines about Siuan and Moiraine, who are a couple in the Wheel of Time, and like I said, I wrote a couple of lines and then I looked at them and I thought, how true to canon is this? So before I went any further, I picked up New Spring, which is the prequel to the Wheel of Time, and I just wanted to double check if I could make any changes to make it more true to canon, or if I was just going to have to embrace the fact that I was just going off of headcanons. So I made some changes to the song, having read New Spring, and I'm going to talk through some of those changes that I made with you today. Now, reading New Spring was wonderful. I don't know if it's top 3 of my Wheel of Time favourites, but it might be top 5. I just think it's a really nice book that explores the relationships between Moiraine and Swan and Moiraine and Lan. Like there's a lot of exploration of friendship and the different types of friendship that people have. And there's this quote that I picked out that I was reading this time. It says, "Friends lightened many burdens, even those we didn't know of." And I just think it's really cute, and most of the high stakes action happens in this last little bit here, but this bit here, this big chunky bit, well, it's not that chunky, but this bit here is full of world building, lore, like little sneak peeks into what characters in the Wheel of Time were like 20 years prior to the series starting. I really, really like it. I would happily read it every month. And maybe I'll do more of an in-depth video on this in the future, but that's not for today. Anyway, without further ado, I'm now going to play Silverpike, and then I'm going to talk through some of the changes that brought it to where it is that you're going to hear it now. If my voice does go a bit weedy, I can only apologise. Everything changed in the blink of an eye, with the coming foretold at the bell of first arise. Both a step away from being sedai. When we heard of the birth of the boy who would save mankind, sworn into secrecy, my Silverpike and me, just the two of us who knew the prophecy. No time for tears as I watch her go. She had to leave me here to escape the throne. For a time I joined her on the road, then a final goodbye, we decide I should go back home. Someone had to stay behind, it wasn't gonna be Silverpike. There's a woman who travel safe, my Silverpike. In the skies embrace, my Silverpike. The light guides your way, my Silverpike. Until we meet again, my Silverpike. So that's the song, but originally it was a little bit different. So, I mean, even to begin with, I didn't know if it was going to be Siuan or Moiraine, whether Moiraine was calling Siuan Silverpike because Siuan always made fish references, or if it was Siuan calling Moiraine a Silverpike because she is feisty and a force to be contended with. Obviously I landed on Siuan, but the main changes that I made when I was reading New Spring is that second line, with a coming foretold at the Bella first rise. So that was originally with a coming foretold in the depths of the night. But that's not when Guitarra has the foretelling. She has it as like at when the clock is at first rise. You know, people are getting up, people are going to breakfast, they can see the dawn light coming through the window. So immediately I was like, right, well that line's wrong, isn't it? So I changed it. And then I was toying between having bell or stroke or chime in that line, and ultimately I settled on bell because I just think it sounds nicer. And then the last line of the first verse, sorry, is when we heard of the birth of the boy who would save mankind. That was originally when we heard of the birth of the boy who was meant to die. And then I realised, I mean, does it ever specify in the dragon prophecies that he will die? No. So I played around with a couple of different things, but again, settled on who would save mankind. And I know that Rand will save other people, but hey, mankind is a word. And then that little bit between sworn into secrecy, my Silverpike and me, that was always there. And then every time I sang through it, then I would go that prophecy, because I just couldn't have a line for it. And then there's a bit in New Spring where Tamra says to them, you know, you have to keep the secret, lie if you must. Because obviously accepted aren't held by the earls, so that Moiraine and Siuan could lie if they needed to. So I tried to like come up with a line that ended in deceit, but I just couldn't find one that scanned with the song. I think that's my least favourite line in the song, the one that I have in there, but I had to move forward because otherwise it would never have come out. And then these next two lines, no time for tears as I watch her go, had to leave me here to escape the throne, those were always in it. Because I just think, you know, the only reason that Moiraine leaves without Siuan when she does is because the Aes Sedai are scheming to get an Aes Sedai monarch in Carrion. So those were always in. And then again, the second half of that I really struggled with. And I was trying to, I kind of forgot that Siuan joined Moiraine later on. So I was for a lot of it I was like going da 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 da. Someone had to stay behind. One is gonna be Silverpike, because I forgot that Siuan also left the tower. But one of the things that I had also forgotten is that in the earlier parts of New Spring, Siuan is the one who is always talking, well, not always talking about, Moiraine thinks about the fact that Siuan is the one who wants to get out there, who wants to go and see the world. But ultimately she doesn't. And like, wow, what a sacrifice my gal Swan Sanche made, all to save the world. So I was trying to think of lines that really encapsulated that, like the fact that she wanted to get out there and see the world, the fact that she joined back up with Moiraine and then ultimately had to go back to the tower, but I just couldn't think of any, so I went with the ones that I had. And then at the end, so I just had those first two bits to start with, and then it just felt like it just ended, like it didn't feel like it had an ending. So I toyed around with different things. So I had the one that I played travel safe, my Silverpike, that repeating thing. But I wasn't keen on it. So then after the there's a woman who was always meant to fly, I then went into some more of those. So in the tower I'll stay while Silverpike's away. And I just repeated a lot of those, and I really liked how they sounded, but they were just kind of like really whiny. And Swan isn't whiny. Like, let me flick to the bit where they part. Swan truly could see sense when it was pointed out to her, though it took some effort this time, and when she agreed, she did it with a poor grace. Like, yeah, she goes back and she's grumpy about it, but I don't think the Swan that we see at the end of New Spring and the Swan that we see at the start of Wheel of Time, like, I don't think she would go back and be whiny. And even though I really liked how it sounded, the words just weren't fitting with the vibe of the song, which is why I ended with the one that I did. Those are just a few of the changes that I made. I might have missed a couple, but I hope you enjoyed looking into my creative mind and the inspiration that I took from New Spring. I do have an idea for another WoTtober song towards the end of the month. If you want to see that, head over to our Instagram at Lunabird Book Club and follow us, because I'll be posting it on there. Also, if you want to see an unfettered by me talking nonsense version of Silverpike, that will also be over on Lunabird Book Club, so head over there to Instagram. We release videos on YouTube every Friday, so like and subscribe. We would be very happy to have you with us in our little book club family. And next week, because it is spooky season, it's the moon season, Kathy and I will be talking about Dracula. Thanks for watching. Bye. Everything changed in the... I've immediately messed up. Oh, and then beep 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 beep. My throat has gone.